Well, hello, my friends. I would like to touch on this briefly because I think it's an important issue. With all that's going on right now with this coronavirus, there's very little else to talk about. And so I've refrained from talking too much about it. And over the past few days, every time I get ready to make a video, I just bite my tongue and say, things are going to get worse. I'm not going to complain about small details or bring up trivial bullshit. I'm definitely not talking about this to get views or likes or any of that. And in fact, if that were the case, I'd probably talk about something more positive because I get a lot more dislikes on videos about politics and current events than I do on anything else. This is something I feel is important. A couple of months ago, when China first had some of their, let's just say their first outbreak in Wuhan of this virus, there were several stories circulating about doctors who had sounded the alarm in not just January or December, but even late November, a few months back, 5 months ago, when they said, there's something going on here and people need to take a look at it. The government decided to imprison some of these doctors. And there was a theory going around that one of these doctors was killed off. They claimed that he had died, and then he came back. And so the United States and other countries were pointing the finger at China, saying, look at you, you're trying to hide your doctors from sounding the alarm and warning people. Fast forward a couple months from there, and the United States is facing the same problem. And people are starting to sound this alarm in the United States, and they are being ridiculed the same way, cast aside. Governors, mayors, politicians are being called out as being, having some sort of a partisan issue. But this one particular issue I wanted to share with you was a captain. He's a United States Navy. I believe he's a captain. Sorry, he's a commander of the USS Theodore Roosevelt. And he sounded the alarm about the COVID-19 outbreak on his ship because he was worried about the people. And he got fired for it. This was just a couple days ago. It says, Captain Crozier demonstrated poor judgment in the midst of a crisis by sending a 4-page request for urgent help to people outside the chain of command. And it says that it said that they wanted, a total of 114 Roosevelt sailors, 114, had tested positive for coronavirus, and the ultimate number will probably in the hundreds, the guy said. And so this Navy commander had said, we need help, and he sent it up the chain of command. Because of this, instead of being commended or having help that he needs, he was fired. He's still, I guess, he still has his command, but he's lost his position due to the fact that he sounded the alarm, concerned about his sailors. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of this because I don't know the person, I don't know the circumstances, I don't know the sailors on the ship. What I do know is this. If you're going to put somebody in charge of thousands of people on an aircraft carrier, my guess is that you believe this person has good judgment. If you put a person in charge of thousands of people on an aircraft carrier and you believe this person has good judgment, and then they tell you that they need help, and you fire them because you don't want to rile up the authorities, then you are basically committing a crime, in my opinion. That you have hired somebody who is an expert at these things, and then when they come to you with help, you ridicule them for not going up the proper chain of command. Now, we're at a point right now where we need all hands on deck, and anybody who's willing to speak out should speak out if they see something wrong. The doctors right now who are speaking out in New York and other places are still being ridiculed by certain people by saying, oh, they signed up for this job. It would be the same for saying, like saying, well, you joined the military, you deserve to die. That's the kind of mentality that a lot of people have. People don't join the military to die. They join the military because they want to protect their country. Then their country sends them into harm's way for an unnecessary war, and they die because of it. And then they get angry, and then they're ridiculed as saying, well, you signed up for this. Well, doctors signed up to help people. But they also signed up with the idea that there's virologists and experts and captains and commanders who can acknowledge when something's going wrong and speak up about it. And when people start doing this in America and they're ridiculed and pushed aside, then it just leads me to the conclusion that I've always had, which is that this country, at least the people in charge, don't really care much about the people. They care more about business as usual. And so I just wanted to make that clear, make that known how I feel about this, because I think it's ridiculous that the government, that the military especially, I mean, how offensive to fire your own people because they speak up caring about their own sailors. Shame. Shame on the government, shame on the military for doing so. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours. Peace.